yet another blog in which I work and Eleanor, the blogger, does the video. Alright, so what we have is a mess of raspberry canes. And what we have to do is we have to thin them so that they can grow in nice and full and produce good fruit, and we don't scrape our hands all to pieces while we're trying to do it this year. So what we need is the fresh canes, new canes to grow up from the bottom, the old canes to be gone. So what we do is we take all the old canes and cut them off. You can tell the old canes because they're old, very brittle. We take all the smaller canes, like so, all the older canes like that, trim them off, get rid of them. All the small little canes like that, just get rid of them. Big canes, old, brittle canes, we get rid of them. You don't really have to worry. A lot of people leave too much. Like they see a cane like that and they, oops, that's already been cut. But they see a cane like this size here, which is about pencil width. It's quite tall, and they'll leave that in there. But what that does, all it does is weaken this year's growth that's going to come on and produce good canes for this fall. And this is indicative of just a poor cane, poor weak cane. The one beside it, that's a nice cane right there. Okay, and it's not much, it's the same height, it's just more robust. This cane will branch out each of these places and produce lots of fruit. Alright, so down here we can see canes that have already been thinned out. And you might think that this is too thin, but I guarantee you by this fall this will all be growing up. So you can see where I cut off all the small canes, and you know, about 1 in 6 canes will grow up to be a nice robust cane like this. What we also do, these were ever-bearing raspberries, so they produced fruit last year. That's last year's fruit that didn't quite ripen. And what we're going to do is go along and cut that off like that. Make them all about the same height. What that will do is they'll cause these to branch out and produce more fruit. Alright, so we'll cut these all off about the same height. And also what it does is it takes this stuff off here so that we don't spread disease amongst our, like fungus and such that's left over from last fall when it was really damp and warm. What else is there? I think that's about it. So all we have to do now is get rid of all the detritus on the ground. I don't really want, I'm going to throw that over by the wheelbarrow. What we have here too is braces. Might wonder what this is. This is just clothesline. This keeps these will actually get so heavy sometimes that they'll fall over and make it more difficult to get at. So what we do is every year we tuck the ones that have fallen in and grew out. This is typically a cane that was underneath, and we tucked it in because it was a really good cane. Then we'll tighten it up really tight, and you can see if I tighten that up, it pulls them in. You can see how it pulls them in maybe down at that other end, Eleanor. If I pull on this, it tucks them in, keeps the wind from blowing them down, so you don't get as much damage with fruit-laden canes on the ground and being wet. And then they get moldy and fungus and all sorts of stuff. So, and that's all that is. I mean, we just planted a post, nailed on a T-post, a couple of holes, ran this through, and you can either tighten it by hand or put a clothesline tightener on it and tighten it up that way. It doesn't really matter. Both work equally well. It's whatever you prefer, whatever's in your budget. Also, sometimes when your clothesline breaks at home and it's not quite good enough for your clothes, you can use a used clothesline. I just bought really cheap clothesline, the cheapest stuff I could get for this. But you can actually use your old clothesline if you're on a budget, so that, you know, recycle. That's always a good idea. Well, my wife is still happily smiling behind the camera, and I still have work to do. So I'm going to get back to cleaning up my raspberries.